Mark Palmieri,
Hello, Mark.
you are a playwright, screenwriter, author, dad, baseball player, college professor. Is there anything you don't do?
I don't sing, thankfully.
Okay,
Yeah, I wish I could sing, but I cannot sing. People have made that loud and clear. So that's one thing I do not do.
we won't ask you today then.
Thank you.
But
On
Mark,
behalf of your audience, thank you.
you have really captured a moment of history here with these plays. I mean, people like me who never ever thought we would have to deal with this kind of technology as our only window on the world, suddenly having to struggle with Zoom.
Yeah.
And you also you jumped on it so quickly. Can you tell us how it happened?
You know, I certainly, it's been strange, trying to reconcile how lucky and happy I feel with the play, with the reason it exists. You know, like everyone else, dearly miss getting together with people and having live theater experience. But it just so happened that I was on a Zoom meeting and I wasn't entirely comfortable with the platform yet myself. This was only a few weeks into the lockdown where schools were down, and you know uh, there was a real abrupt lifestyle change. And I was on a Zoom meeting, and it involved people that were even less savvy with Zoom and in conferencing software, than I was. And for a good solid 45 minutes, it was all about just getting everyone there. And it was funny. It was a great group. And when it was all over with, I realized, wow. And we were rehearsing a reading or something, and so I realized, well, we did that, and that was cool. It was like a rehearsal, you know, some kind of like teleconference first read through or something. It was interesting. And then I realized, wow, if an audience kind of was watching that play out on stage, like that's an interesting concept for a stage play, while we can see the characters in their space on stage and maybe see the screen upstage. So I started writing a play. Then I realized, well, we can't really do that right now, so maybe I'll just write it thinking that it's on the screen, only on the screen. And then there it was. I had sort of been lucky in that way. And that night I just said to myself, I'm going to write this right now before I just changed my mind and think this is
Mhm.
ridiculous. So I bet I should just bang it out as fast as I can, because I'm really confusing myself at this point, what this is. So yeah, it just kind of, in a sense, fell into my lap, and it really happened. And so, right after it really happened, I decided to make a play out of what just really happened. And of course, it turns out, obviously, it's really happening to everyone on the planet right now, just about. So, it has some appeal.
And you've married it to the themes of death and resurrection by setting it a week before Easter, which is when the lockdown really virtually the lockdown occurred just a month before the Easter Passover holidays. And that's a wonderful metaphor for what we're going through, and it really uh, just makes the play so meaningful and so touching because we can all relate to it on so many different levels, the religious level and also just the level of being in lockdown. So, was it performed immediately? I know it was performed by other theaters before ours did it. Was it performed around Easter originally?
It actually premiered out of Penn State Center Stage. They launched their virtual platform with this piece. Director Rick Lombardo is artistic director there.
Mhm.
He and I worked. We got in touch early April. About a week later, we were up. He cast it, rehearsed it. We did some back and forth, of course, with some table work on it. I attended the rehearsals. um, and yeah, so the last night of Passover was the night they performed it live.
Mhm.
And this was, we didn't really even know what Actors Equity deal was with this, or the Screen Actors Guild. What was it? Was it a play? Was it TV? Was it, um, And so it happened pretty quick. I wrote it April 2nd, and I think I was on a Zoom meeting with the first director, Rick,
Hmm.
within 10 days of that.
Wow.
And then we were, but I think, or even less. And I think within 3 weeks we had done the show, and it was a great response. We had 1,000 people watched it that night, and you know, uh, and then you reached out, and I really your production, and we continue to work on the play, with the theater project, and some great changes were made to the script, and I learned so much more, and it was really that second production, I think, that helped get it. I helped the publisher, kind of say to themselves, well, okay, maybe it's not just a one night thing, like,
Mhm.
maybe this is going to suit, theaters looking to do stuff. So um, it was really wonderful to have those two productions so quickly, in April moving into May like that.
I mean,
So
this has
yeah,
opened a whole new door for playwrights if they can have different readings of their plays on this platform and develop the work that way. That's really very exciting. And I know that this play is really going all over the place now. The first act and now the new second act. We have both here uh, ready to stream, whatever that means. Uh, but tell us where the play has gone since then, Mark.
so when those first two productions were of part one, and I had no reason to believe there would be a part two, and then artistic director Hunter Foster up at Red House in Syracuse, they did part one as well, and I think during the rehearsal period, or the run of their streaming, he said, "Write part two. I think there's an act two. Write it, and we'll do it." And I said to myself, "Well, I don't think there's part two. I think I'm done. But when do you get that request?" So I got right on it, and within a few days, I had part two, and I'm so glad for that, of course. And it did make sense. It was a lovely thing to bring those characters back later into the pandemic, where the Zoom gags really weren't the same anymore. Everyone kind of got where they are with Zoom pretty quickly. So I had to find other things that could be funny or relatable about Zoom, since everyone's smooth with it now, pretty much. But it was meaningful to come back and to kind of discuss and explore what had changed and what had not changed, weeks later or a month and a half later. So Red House then did both, and I know some other companies have requested the rights through Dramatists Play Service, including a professional production company in Singapore.
That's
And
fantastic.
yeah, the Pandemonium, they're going to be doing it this fall, and they're
Oh,
setting it in Singapore, which
great.
was so I've gone back and forth with some of their alterations, and that's one thing that I think I really encourage, because this is a global situation. This story can really play out anywhere. I set all my plays on Long Island. It's where I'm from. Uh, Born in Jersey, though. Uh, but it really could be said anywhere. Long Island, Jersey, same thing. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, we certainly have enjoyed, knowing you and having the geographic connection in common. But it is interesting that we're all able to reach beyond our own neighborhoods now and find like-minded friends, audiences all over the world in a way that has been really jump-started by the pandemic. I think that the internet had taken it to a certain level, but then when people were really unable to safely interact with friends and neighbors, I think it's created a whole nother understanding of what the technology can do. People like me who didn't want to go near it are suddenly immersing ourselves. So, what's next for you, Mark?
well, I'm a college instructor full time,
Uh,
and so I've been busy moving things into that new world you just described, and hope to have some campus life at Mercy College this fall, and to be doing some theater, however socially distanced, and whether
mhm,
it might take a internet platform form as well. Hoping
mhm.
for that. Working on a book. Working on I have a new play which is for the stage. So that's certainly going to be sidelined, I guess, for a little while. But
Yeah.
yeah, just trying to continue to make use of the time that is provided by this craziness in a good way. At the same time, keep up with the work and try to keep things as normal as possible for my students, and
Hmm.
my kids,
Right.
and just try to contribute.
Well, you really inspired us to get started and think about what we could be doing on Zoom, because the first couple of weeks of the lockdown, we had just stopped. We were at a dead halt, and your play really
Right.
was part of the inspiration to let's see what we can do on a virtual platform. We've done much more than we ever thought we could. So
Oh, well,
thank you
your
for that.
productions have been great. Your productions have been great. The casts have been terrific, and certainly, I could speak to what y'all did with this piece was wonderful. So I'm really, really thankful to the theater project and everyone that supports y'all. And it's now my second go around with the theater project, of course. That's how we met, right, a few
Right.
years ago.
Uh-huh.
Another play of mine, and it's just the first class, and it's wonderful to see, of course, actors and crew and director, audience getting together and going through this experience in
Mhm.
some form. I think it's something I know just on a personal level we need. It's holding us over to some degree, bringing a little happiness and laughter, in this different way for now, but I'm so thankful to you guys for doing these runs, and they've made the piece better. As I said, Reverend Kevin and those great conversations we had, um, after the first piece and during our communications, Mark, it's really made the play better.
Oh, I appreciate that. So I just want to tell everybody that your website is great. It's markpalmieri.com. So you can follow Mark's future career. And I'm sure he'll be back here. You'll hear from him on this platform again as well.
And you'll
So,
see a very familiar picture on that website when you go to it of a banner across a certain street in Maplewood.
yes, when we did The Groundling, it was still one of my favorite productions. So, so thank you, Mark. Thank you for being here today.
Thank
And
you.
we hope that you'll enjoy the recording, folks, of not only the interview, but of Waiting for the Host, parts 1 and 2. So enjoy the show.